Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Footy JUDGEMO, people. You actually know exactly who's late. You can tell. Empty box right there. Always late, Husam. And then he comes in and blames LB. Every time. He's like, LB, you were late. Every time. But bigger people, this is going to be your Thursday show. Counter views with LB, Dan, myself, and Losam, of course. We're gonna try to make it every Thursday or every Wednesday. We haven't decided yet. But listen, you know what we're here to talk about? The red cartel. Literally, it's a war now. Arsenal literally are against Manchester City. This is what people are saying. Trying to incriminate Manchester City or something, providing evidence. We'll talk about that as well. We'll try to make it a civil conversation between us people, so we actually understand what is happening. Why are people against Man City? We had a lot of shows over the past 2-3 days. Of course, LB and Dan spoke about it, of course, in Straight Facts. We spoke about it on here, and we spoke about it on Husam's show yesterday on Al Ahwa. We're going to try to understand what LB knows, because he done a lot of shows. What does he know about the situation? What can he tell us? Is his club actually guilty of this thing, or they aren't? Or they actually the ones in the clear, and the Premier League clubs are the actual red cartel that want to dominate and do everything? So if you're here now, hit that like button now. Just now, let's get to 200 likes right off the bat. Husam is going to be joining us in 5 minutes or something. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button as well. Let's get to 300, 400 likes. How's everybody feeling first? Like, this situation. Here you go.
How LB feels, man.
Bro, I watch LB, bro. They're all right with it.
Calm, bro. Why would I not be calm, innit? I'm chill. I'm finding it pretty entertaining, to be honest with you. We've got something to talk about. I thought once the season ended, I thought, shit, there's going to be nothing to talk about until the Euros. And then boom, my club coming in clutch to save all the content creators. You know what I mean? Mo now has content. I seen Dan Potts on his stream last night speaking about City as well. Yeah, everyone's got stuff to talk about because of my club. So you're all welcome. And everyone in the chat, you have something to watch. And that's because of my club. So you're welcome, man.
You're not sweating a bit, LB, you know?
Sweating about what?
I don't know, but I'm just asking a question.
Okay, hold on. You have to be worried.
So worried about what?
If you lose this, right, you're literally suing the Premier League. It's
right. And if we lose, we carry on as normal. Literally, like, I think it's been overblown massively. City are challenging a rule that they feel is unlawful. If City are right, the rule will be removed and we'll go back to the rule before it was introduced. And if City are wrong, we'll carry on.
Can I ask you something then? Okay, so let me ask you questions, because
I asked deep, really.
It is deep. Why were you with this law and then you're against this law? Why is that? Why do you think the club is against was with this law and then now you are against this law?
We never voted for the law. We never wanted it. We never wanted it in the first place. And now it's come in.
I thought the only club that abstained was Newcastle.
No, City never wanted it. City never wanted this rule.
Yeah. You never wanted it, but you voted with the thing. The only club that didn't vote is Newcastle.
No. We never wanted it, bro. And this is what we're saying. City think it's unlawful. City think it's an unlawful rule, bro. It's not, like I say, it's really not that deep. It's people are making it out to be this massive thing. It's really not. City think the law is not lawful. Simple as. That's it. If it's lawful, carry on as normal. We'll go wait to the 115 in November. If it's not lawful, the rule will be removed.
That's not how I look at it.
Do you think it is linked? That people say it's not linked to 115, and I understand. Excuse me, why it's not right?
It's not
because it's a separate thing. Yeah. Okay, so hear me out, right? Because a lot of people are saying that this 115 is a completely separate thing. Agree with that. But if there's one of these laws, they're saying, yeah, but this law, we really don't believe it. Why have they come out with this now? Why is that? Why is it now that they've come out with this, do you think? Because I look at it and I think it might not be linked. It just looks a bit weird. And it looks maybe coincidental, if it is coincidental. I don't really care about the Pep going and the KDB leaving. That's just the way it is. But when you look at the actual situation of, okay, 115 is over in the background. And now this coming up and saying that, yeah, but we don't really believe in that law. So if they are actually innocent, there's two ways to look at this. If Manchester City have done nothing wrong, then they're basically going, we're sticking the knife in because the Premier League have screwed. They're trying to screw us, defamation of character, etc., etc. It goes on. Or the other side is, we ain't really broke the rules, but maybe we might have actually broke that one. So let's try and go for them to try and make out that that isn't actually a law that should be in
bro,
place.
the rule that
So
we're
that's what I'm looking
challenging.
at.
Yeah, but bro, this is why people need to read what's actually happened. The rule that we're challenging came into effect after the alleged 115 breaches in 2018 ended. So how can it be related? How are we're challenging a rule that wasn't even in place at the time? That's what we're challenging. So how is it related? It's not related. It's completely separate things. City think it's not lawful, therefore they're challenging it. Simple as. And people are blowing it up to be way more than it actually is. It's big. If City win the case, I think that says a lot more about the Premier League. If City lose, anyone can challenge. Other clubs might have done this. Remember, someone's leaked this. People think it's Arsenal, but who knows who it is? Someone's leaked it. The rules in the Premier League handbook say anyone can make a challenge against anything that's in the Premier League rulebook. It's to remain confidential. It says it there in black and white in the Premier League handbook. So how do we know that Arsenal haven't challenged the Premier League in the past? How do we know that Liverpool or United haven't done it? Because it should have been kept confidential. Someone's leaked it, of course. But that's what I'm saying. This could have happened in the past.
Yes. Who thinks it's Arsenal, the snitch? Who said that?
Well, some people are saying it's Arsenal, but who knows who it is?
Okay, basically, forget
it's
who
always
leaked
Arsenal's fault, mate. Arsenal always got something involved somehow.
Yeah, forget who leaked it. LB, basically, what we understand from all the reports and all the journalists and everything is that you are challenging the law that gives an independent committee the chance to assess commercial deals to make sure they are market value. Basically, that only helps two clubs, the state-owned club. Because we know that the money at Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, and this is what it is. This is how these countries are. It's all royal families running together. They're not corporations.
Well, that's not true. Again, that's not true, Mo. It doesn't just help. It doesn't. It's associated party. So anyone that's associated to the owner, that has to go through.
Yeah. That's true. Committee. But it favors. I get it.
So it affects everyone, not just City and
Newcastle. It does. But the people that can benefit more from this are the state-owned clubs. Just logic, LB. It's just logical. Because this is a family, like Al Nahyan family in Emirates and the royal family in Saudi Arabia. Right? These are families. Even though people said the Cronkies and Walmart, these are corporations. There is internal audits, external audits. These people are linked to shares and stuff like this. We know that the difference is Sheikh Mansour, yes, his wealth himself as one person of the royal family, it might not be 60, 70 billion, but his whole family, just one family, their wealth are about $500 billion.
Mm-hmm.
300 to 500 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So that gives you an advantage over all the other clubs, because basically, and I explained this yesterday, if there is no one to assess the commercial deal, LB, right? Sheikh Mansour can go to his cousin and ask, for example, you want to buy £100 million player tomorrow, but you don't have you need to comply with FFP or PSR or whatever. He can go and get a sponsorship deal for 100 million that is not assessed. I think this is what I understand it.
Well, yeah, but again, we don't know the full details because we've not seen the full details. We've seen an article which has a little bit of information, but not a great deal of information. So we don't fully understand exactly what City are challenging here. What we do know is that they think what is currently in place is unlawful. Now, whether or not you want this rule to be in place or not, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful. It can't be in the rule book. Simple as. Now, whether that means you scrap it or whether that means you redevelop it so it is lawful, whatever. But I'm pretty sure everyone would agree if the rule isn't lawful, it shouldn't be in the rule book. It's quite simple. So this is why I'm saying it's not that deep. If City are wrong, we'll carry on.
I think it's very deep, actually, LB.
I'll tell you what. I think it is deep.
But you get my point. You get my point here. Like,
I'll tell you what, Mo. If City win, I think that tells you a lot more about the Premier League, that we've got unlawful rules in the Premier League handbook than it does about City. Simple. Because that means we've got a rule. We've got a league that has unlawful rules. So we'll find out, innit? In 2 weeks, we'll find out, bro. But if City are right, then City are right. City are
not
wrong.
everything in the books, LB. We're speaking logically. We're not lawyers. None of us are actually lawyers. None of us actually looked at the case. I just
said we don't know what the full details are.
Yeah, but we go by what's in the report. That's what we report. We go what's in the reports. We go what's said there. We go what is what we know, what we see, what we read. Like I tried to read about like 3, 4, 5 articles over the past 2 days. All I'm understanding is that you don't like Man City, not you, Manchester City, right, are trying to make it that the Premier League Independent Committee should not be overlooking commercial deals. Like you can do whatever you want, lawful or unlawful.
So what's the problem?
Because
with that,
it's anti-competition.
What's
The
problem with
is you can, because you are Manchester City and Newcastle actually are the richest clubs in the country.
Okay, so if City win the case, what's wrong with that? That means that the rule was unlawful. So what's the problem?
But the law is unlawful because you can prove that in any way. But that means it opens the door for you. Okay, so do you agree? So okay, even if it's unlawful, do you think that should happen in football now? Now let's be logical here. Do you think Emirates and Saudi Arabia should be allowed to pump any money into their club without even someone looking at the market shares and how much this deal cost, and Visit Abu Dhabi can be? I'm going to give you a simple example.
I'm not going to answer that question because I completely disagree with this whole function of the profit and sustainability rules in the first place. So I can't answer that specific question because I disagree with the whole premise of it. We're now seeing news coming out today that there are 6, 7 teams in the Premier League that all have to sell players by the end of June to meet profit. Is this fair? Is this fair that these clubs have to sell? Is this fair that Aston Villa have just had one of the best seasons they've had in a very long time and have to sell players to meet profit and sustainability? Is this fair? Is this a sustainable league that we've got?
Yeah, but that's
Chelsea,
different.
Newcastle, though. Everton, Forest, Leicester.
Yeah, but that's different though.
That's why I can't
me and you agree that the FFP thing and is actually needs a revamp. Me and you agree on that. Many shows before. Okay, but this notion that anyone can pump money into any club, right, without even having a fair competition, that ruins the competition. And I try to give you examples, LB. You don't want to like hear it for me. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say Arsenal tomorrow are battling Man City for player X, right? That plays in the Bundesliga. Arsenal have Visit Rwanda on their shirt. Visit Rwanda gives them 10 million pounds. Their income from all the commercial deals, right, is 100 million pounds. Man City tomorrow, and only they can only spend that money because this is the money that come into the club, and they can only bid 80 million pounds, and that's what the other club wants. Man City tomorrow can go to the cousin of whatever, or Newcastle can pump 100 million extra by another visit Riyadh, visit Jeddah from Saudi Arabia, and they can go and bid that money because they're allowed to spend it, and that is unfair competition. Because Arsenal are not owned by a state. Well, Aston Villa aren't owned by a state. Because we know that the difference in wealth between the states and the companies and the personnel that own these people, right, is massive, and it's different. Ineos is 60 billion. Go look at the wealth of the royal family of Saudi Arabia. How can Saudi Arabia afford all these wages for the players? Because this is the funds that we're talking about here is significantly higher than all the other clubs around in Europe. Everyone, by the way, everyone. And that provides unfair competition. There has to be a way to control that. There has to be a way to control this. Right, because it's unfair.
But how do you control it though? How can you tell another company what they can spend? This is the problem that you've got. How can you do it
by having someone assessing that Visit Rwanda deal?
Okay, so that's what I said to you before, Mo, but then you dismissed it. If it's unlawful, then it has to be removed because it's unlawful, bro. If it's lawful, it'll stay. That's why I said it's not that deep. You agree if it's unlawful, it should be removed. Now, whether or not we redevelop it in a way that it is lawful, if the current rule is unlawful, you agree it should be removed.
The lawmakers can make whatever law. I don't think so. I don't think it's. I think so this law, as I see it now, it's logical. Is it lawful or unlawful? Is it lawful or unlawful? I don't know that.
Bro, that's not what I asked. I'm asking you a simple question, bro. If the rule in the Premier League right now that you've just described about these people checking it is unlawful, You think it should be removed?
No, I don't think so. Because
So you should. So that's what I'm saying. You can't win. We've got people here who are saying we should keep a rule that is unlawful. How mad is that? You understand what you're saying?
Can I give you an example?
Why are Man City so overbothered by the PSR thing, by the way? Because they are the club that have benefited from this. That's the one thing I don't get. They're massively like, the guy, I can't remember his name, LB, your guy come out in the interview the other day saying, oh my God, we're not going to see some of these players now. We're not going to see some of these loans now. Why does he care that Arsenal might not buy as many players or Villa might have to sell a player? Why do they care? Man City are 10 years ahead of some of those clubs. They've got their squad. They've got their money. They don't have to go and spend 400 million to go and win a title. They're guaranteed trophies. Why are they so vocal about the fact that Newcastle and Aston Villa now might have to all be in a bit of trouble, etc., etc.? And that's what I don't get. Because for
the
me,
rules are clearly nonsense, aren't they? You agree that the rules are nonsense?
I do. I think the PSR thing is mad. I do. I think it's crazy. I think personally, if somebody's got £1 billion, they want to put into a football club. It's their money. They can do what they want with it, right? What I don't agree with is if these 115 things are true and there's been fraud, etc., then Man City should be done if found guilty. That's a separate thing. This whole commercial thing, I'm kind of siding with LB a little bit because I do think it's a bit mad that some third party says you are not allowed to do this when it is literally their money to do what they want with. So I'm kind of a little bit with LB there, but I don't see why there's such an uproar from some of the Man City fans and board that are talking about this PSR because it's benefited them massively. Newcastle got 350 billion in the bank that they cannot spend because of PSR. Man City should be laughing. They should be laughing, going, "Thank Christ that weren't there when we were there."
I've said this.
How are you siding with LB then?
No, in terms of what LB was saying, because I do think that. So the example LB gave the other day, I thought was quite a good one. It was basically saying, I mean, I shouldn't really say it because obviously it's silly as funder, but basically he was saying if X wants to sponsor a club, they should be allowed to. There shouldn't be any law that says you're not allowed to do this in an extra. You're not allowed to give this amount of money to this club because it's their money. They can do what they want with it, right? So I kind of understand that. How do we stop that, I suppose, is what my answer is. The question is there a law to stop that? We'll find out in a couple of weeks, won't we? We'll find out in a couple of weeks.
You really think Sheikh Mansour can go to his cousin and tell him, can you sponsor me because I need a player for 100 million? Can you sponsor me for 100 million?
If there's a law that says no, then absolutely not. But at the moment, I don't know that there is a law. Is there a law that says Sheikh Mansour can't do that? That's what we're going to find out.
I'm sorry to cut you off here. I want the logic. I don't want the law. Dan, I want your opinion. We don't make the law. Dan, do you think Man City and Newcastle should be able to? I'm being.
We're on the logic. We're on the logic, not the law.
I want your logic. I don't want. Listen, I am not a lawyer. Someone else. By the way, a lawyer can prove someone that murdered someone innocent by the law. Does that mean the law is correct? All of us and all the people that watch us now that say the lawful and unlawful, and LB knows that some laws are written and lawyers can get around them, right? You can be dealing cocaine, heroin, and you can go out on technicality because the law is on your side. But we all know that this person is dealing cocaine. We all know that this person stole from the supermarket, but because the law, because their lawyer is great, they got them out of it. We all know that. Don't kill each other, okay? Let's just be logical here. And we aren't lawyers and we aren't in the court of law. We aren't. We're on YouTube, and let's be logical. I'm asking your opinion.
Can I ask you?
I want to ask the question. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, I'll just come into that, right? The current rules state, right, that if it's an associated party transaction, the director of the company that's making the sponsor has to do a rationale to the Premier League about why they're spending that money and why they think that it's worth that money. Do you think that's like
100%? That's lawful. If you live in the Arab world, if you know what Arabs are, if you know royal families, 100%.
So you're going to tell them no?
That absolutely.
The Premier League, you think the Premier League should have the right to tell them no?
No one said it's no. No one said they should tell them no. But all I want is that to make sure that someone else doesn't sponsor their cousin because they need money and they give them the money somewhere else.
Okay, so no, but
that is the problem. LB,
answer the question.
Go ahead. I'm answering all your questions, by the way.
So I'm sponsoring the football club, right? I'm associated party. I then, for some bizarre reason, I have to now write a letter to the Premier League to say, "Hi, Premier League, I'm sponsoring the football club." Apparently, I have to tell you that I think that the money that I'm paying is this is why I'm doing it. I think it's
100%. Yes.
The Premier League comes back to me and says, "No, you're wrong."
No. So that is when you're wrong. You added that extra bit, LB, to sound like they're gonna tell you no. If it's a logical sponsorship, for example, you added that extra bit, Habibi.
Well, that's what they have to do.
Yeah, but that's true. If let me ask you, if there is someone in Emirates, okay, and I want to remove Man City from this, so you let's talk about Saudi Arabia. If there is a company in Saudi Arabia that want to sponsor Newcastle, right? They want to sponsor Newcastle. This company can go sponsor Newcastle if it's a fair market value. If they were, the question here, if this company were going to sponsor Liverpool or Arsenal, were they going to pay the same money? If yes, fair enough. They choose whatever club they want. But if for example, if this company logically, if they were going to sponsor Arsenal as a business deal, they were going to pay 20 million for this deal. But then they go to Newcastle and tell them, here is 100 for you instead of 20. That's unfair because that is conflict of interest. Because
That's different, bro. That's different, bro.
But that's the law, Dan. That's not
how it works. But that's not how it works. So so again, answer the question. Do you think it's right? So I'm a director of the company. I
literally answered and said yes.
But you didn't. No, you didn't. I sponsored the company. I now apparently have to send a letter to the Premier League to say, "Hi, Premier League. I'm sponsoring a football club. Nothing to do with you. I have to tell you, apparently, that this is my rationale as to why I'm sponsoring this club."
Yes, I think.
Listen to the question. Okay. Do you think that the Premier League should have the right to tell this company that's nothing to do with a football club? It's a company that's making a sponsor. No, you're wrong. You're paying too much money, and then scupper the deal. Why? Yes. Why did they have the right to do that?
I will answer this for the last time before I get someone else's opinion, right? Because we need fairness in the Premier League, one way or the other.
Who's determining that? I've just told the Premier League.
Independent, not the Premier League. Independent, someone that will tell. Okay, I think you're looking at it from one point of view. What if I'm gonna give you an example? What if the Kronkis tomorrow go to Walmart and they inflate a commercial deal? We all want that not to happen as well. For example, if Walmart, if the sponsorship deal for Arsenal, right, is worth 50 million, but now because they are related, they give them 200 million. We all don't want that to happen because that is unfair.
Okay,
see, forget the states.
No.
I'm talking about Arsenal.
So, and if Walmart was to write a letter to the Premier League saying, "Hi, Premier League, we think sponsoring Arsenal 200 million quid is good value," who is anyone else to tell Walmart?
An independent committee, LB. An independent
they can't tell another company what to spend the money on.
Because there's a conflict of interest, LB, between Walmart and Arsenal. Someone has to oversee.
It's just the fucking company, bro. They can't tell another company what they can spend the money on.
I'm gonna explain this to you. Okay, last time. You
don't need to explain it to me, bro.
I'm gonna give you a simple example that you have.
It's bizarre. It's honestly bizarre.
LB, there is an example here. When I went to buy this house, imagine if I'm buying this house from my friend, right? Imagine if I'm buying this house from my friend and I'm going to take a loan from the bank and we set the price.
I've heard this argument. It's the strangest
it's an argument that actually happens in real life. The bank
nothing to do with it. You're using someone else's money, bro. You're using someone else's money. Use that argument again without taking a loan. You're using your own cash. You can't do it because it's your own money. You can only use that argument because you're taking a loan from the bank with a mortgage, correct?
Yeah, but because there has to be a fair competition in the market. I'm going to tell you what happens. Any deal, by the way, even any deal that happens, it has to be fair market value because it affects people around me.
If I want
to let me explain to you. Let me ask you the last question. Ask you the last question, and I think this settles it all. Do you think if someone inflate the commercial value, do you think that affects the rest of the clubs, the market of the players and the wages and everything?
It's irrelevant.
Yes or no? It's irrelevant. You think if you inflate a commercial deal, it doesn't affect players' values, players' wages?
It's irrelevant.
Does it? It does. So you don't think that affects it at all?
It's irrelevant to the argument that we're having and to the debate we're having. The point is, should another company, an independent company, be able? What jurisdiction does this independent company have to tell Walmart what they can spend the money on? It's absolutely ludicrous.
No, this is
Sam, how are you, bro? You good?
This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just having to listen to LB waffle and you yourself waffle as well, Dan. About this topic. It's so obvious what's happening over here. First of all, LB, there is a logical response to all your questions. When you're saying who are they, they're the Premier League, they're independent regulators. This is about fairness of competition in the Premier League. If we allow this to be a circus act, then even things that are not associated with a state-owned club or whatever will also take this to the next level. As Mo said, Walmart cannot sponsor Arsenal with £300 million a year, and then Arsenal now go take that £300 million a year and keep spending it every year as part of the revenue. That cannot happen. That cannot be a thing. They are not telling Walmart how to spend their money and who to spend their money on. They're telling Walmart, you are going above market value of what a normal sponsorship is. So if Tesco want to sponsor Liverpool for £20 million a year, that's the market value. Walmart can't come to Arsenal and sponsor Arsenal for 300 million a year. That's the problem here. The problem isn't I'm telling you where to spend your money on. The problem is there's something called fairness of market value. Let me tell you fairness of market value. Because Manchester City have been winning over the last 5 years, their winning has been rewarded, and fairness of market value now dictates that Manchester City shirt sponsors are able to get as much as Real Madrid shirt sponsors, or as much as Man United shirt sponsors, or Liverpool shirt sponsors. What Manchester City cannot do is make a Puma deal for 500 million a year, start counting it as part of the revenue, and be able to spend that every year. This is where the issue lies. There need to be something called fairness of competition, meaning you can reward winning by obviously, like Man City and Real Madrid in terms of size of club aren't the same level. But for the last 5 years, because City have been winning, they have grown globally, and the revenues have grown globally, which now allows them to get a logical, according to an independent regulator, who's not telling Puma what to do. He's dictating the market value of everything. So if tomorrow Real Madrid gets 70 million from Nike, and then Puma come to you, go like, here's 70 million a year, that's market value. But if Real Madrid gets 70 million, and then Puma want to give Manchester City 300 million a year, that's not market value. That's the issue here. So we can use both of your clubs as an example. Visit Rwanda versus Visit Abu Dhabi. Visit Rwanda gives Arsenal 10 million pounds a year. The problem is the following, full stop, basic logic here. Do you think it's an issue if Visit Abu Dhabi wants to give Manchester City 100 million pounds a year? That's the issue here. Inflating the market value. Not telling them to spend their money. Think about what I'm saying.
No, but you are telling them what you can spend the money on. Clearly.
No, I'm not.
You are. You've just said it yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm dictating the market value. Those are two different things, LB.
But again, my question to that is, though, who is this company to tell another company what they can spend the money on? That's the question.
I'm not telling them what they can spend their money on. Don't miss my point.
You've
completely missed my point, and you've done it on purpose. I'm not telling
not telling
Abu Dhabi what to spend their money on.
My question because you know you can't answer the question.
First of all, LB, there is no question that you can ask me that I can't answer, whether it be football related or
you've just done it.
But let's not go there.
Oh, okay. You're not smart. You're not smart. Answer the question. I've just asked you a simple question.
Go ahead. Tell me, what's the question?
What right does an independent, does this company have to tell another company what they can spend the money on? Please answer the question.
See how you've completely missed the point again?
Oh, so this is what he does, chat. I asked him a simple question. That's a simple question. What right?
That's not a simple question at all, because that's not the topic at hand.
It's just a simple question. That's what's happening.
No, because we're talking about football, and you're asking me handball questions, and you're saying, why can't you answer?
Simple question. You tried to be smart.
That's not the point.
Now you're just saying, I can't answer it. I can't answer it.
No, that's not the point, because you're making a point completely different. And by the way, even that question, even though it's completely unrelated to everything I've said, the simple answer to that is, who are they to tell them? They're independent regulators who have a duty. Okay, I'll tell you, I'll answer your question, even though your question is completely unrelated to everything I just said. Your question is, who is the independent regulator to tell Visit Abu Dhabi how much money to give Man City, right?
Not regulators. We need to stop saying regulators. They're not regulators.
Whatever it is, LB. Like,
can we call them auditors, LB?
They're a company. Finance.
Who are X to tell people to how much money they can spend, right? That's what your question is. Okay, so I'll tell you who they are. they're responsible for the fairness of competition in the Premier League, and their right of standing on that point of fairness of competition is making sure that clubs follow the market value. The market value is not something unknown to mankind. The market value is something me and you can figure out. If we go on Google right now and we look at shirts,
I agree with everything you're saying here.
we can dictate the market value. Me and you can do this, by the way. We don't need independent regulators.
I agree with everything you're saying, but you're not answering the question again.
I literally just answered it. Who are they? They are independent regulators.
No, you just explained.
Okay, I'll answer the question. I'll answer the question. I won't even give a paragraph answer. Who are they? Your question is, who are they to tell Visit Abu Dhabi how much money to
what
give
gives them the right to do that? What gives them the right?
Okay, I'll tell you who they are. They are people who are responsible to completely make sure that there is fairness in competition in the English Premier League. And that is their role. Now, if you take away that,
I agree with that.
Make it a circus. Mourinho spoke about that 3 years ago.
I agree with everything you've just said. I've agreed with everything you've just said.
My question 3 times already.
But my point is, what gives them the right to do that? And City are challenging that. City feel
what
that they
gives
don't
them the
have
right to do that? The Premier League gives them the right to do that.
And if City feel that that is unlawful based off the law in this country, they have a right to challenge that law, right? That rule.
They have the right to challenge that law, but we also have the right to sit back and go like, wait a minute, why are you challenging that law specifically?
Well, maybe they think it's
unlawful. So we're adding one and one together here. There is logic to this thing.
But okay, so if City think it's an unlawful rule, they have the right to challenge that rule, right?
Yes, they have the right to challenge that rule. I also have the right to go like, why are you challenging that specific related party rule so you can just spend as much money as you want without any consequences? That's my right as well.
Well, of course that's your right. But if City challenge the rule because they think it's unlawful, and it's found that it is unlawful, that rule has to be removed.
Problem, LB, you can challenge any rule you want. Wolves challenged the VAR rule.
Correct.
Okay. Wolves challenged the VAR rule. It wasn't successful. Yeah. So, like, we kept it stepping. There's VAR next season. Done. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you a simple question. There's 4 clubs on this panel. There's 4 clubs: Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Inter Milan. We all have 4 different shirt sponsoring companies. Okay. Let's say now, I'm going to just give you basic level numbers here. Let's say Mo's yearly sponsorship is 30 million a year. Mine's 40 million a year. Dan's is 50. Yours is 60. Okay. Now, let's say Newcastle are going to get a shirt sponsor for 350 million pounds a year. Is that okay?
I'm not saying it's okay or not okay. But if
why don't you answer if it's okay for you or not? Why don't you answer?
That was good. That was good, Husam.
Why don't you answer the question straight? Is it good or not? It's a yes or no question, LB.
What does that mean? Is it good or not? What does that mean? Is it good? What does that even mean?
Is that fair or not?
Is that fair for the competition in the league?
Is it fair? Possibly not. But the question is, do you have a right to stop that? That's all the challenging. That's what we said for the first half an hour of this stream.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but you're talking about a right, LB. But we're talking about logic. Fuck the right. People have the right to do a lot of dumb shit. Think of this logically. There'll be no competition in the Premier League, LB, because now the rich will get better.
You can't do it though, can you? If it's unlawful, I'm not even sitting here, as I've said since the news broke, and saying I want the rule to be removed. I don't want the rule to be removed. I'm not asked either way. My point is, should there be someone who has the right to tell another company what they can spend? Yes or no? If you think yes, fairs. If you think
I
no,
think yes, because they are the ones who are making sure that I have fair competition in the Premier League. It's very simple.
Right.
It's
very
simple.
To do it in a lawful way. And if it's not lawful, it has to be removed.
Do you agree that City over the last 5 years have been successful and Man United have been unsuccessful? Yes or no?
Well, United have been successful. They've won 2 trophies in the last 2 years.
I'm talking about the last 6-7 year period. Man City have been successful, Man United not. Right?
Well, okay, yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So how is winning rewarded? Man City is supposed to get more money from a shirt sponsor. We accept that. Now we're talking about the levels of more money. So if Man United are getting 40 million a year, I cannot go give Man City 400 million a year. There need to be a market value difference here.
Okay, so
meaning,
how can you determine that though? So
we need
me and you can determine market value.
Let me come back to you though. Let me come back to you on that, Husam. What about this company now? Associated party wants to pump in a mad amount of money to City. and it's unprecedented amount of money. But they say, listen, the reason why we're doing this, based off what you've just said, is this team won the treble last year. They've just done the 4-peat, and this year we think they're going to go and do even more stuff. So that's our justification, just like you said, because we're doing well on the pitch. Who should you be able to cap that amount? Who could sit? Because obviously it's unprecedented.
You should be able to cap that amount. 100%.
But the fair market value, how do you judge that? How do you judge your fair market value?
First of all, me and you can judge fair market
something
value.
That's not happened before.
LB, me and you can judge fair market value. So if we just go shirt sponsors, 20 Premier League teams, we can look at market value from a logical perspective. We can see how much do Man City get a year and how much do Luton get a year. You know, we can look at market value objectively and think about this logically. Because if you listen to my example, I said, look, Man United gets 40 million a year. Man City have been really successful. They've been killing it in the Premier League. They deserve to get 60, 70 million pounds a year. That's logical. That's a logical increase in amount.
I don't think it is logical.
Okay, no problem. But if we now inflate that by 5 times, if I start giving Man City 5 times what a shirt sponsor is giving Man United, that's when it becomes a circus. That's when Man City now are getting 200 million of a shirt sponsor, while Man United are getting 40 million of a shirt sponsor. Now that 200 million is counted in the PSR numbers where Manchester City are spending money, and Man United only have 40 million to add into the PSR numbers to spend money. So what's happening is there's a group of regulators looking at things logically. Visit Rwanda, visit Abu Dhabi. Visit Rwanda can't give Dan Potts 10 million a year, but then Visit Abu Dhabi wants to give LB 100 million pounds a year. This is the issue here. So there's a fairness and a logical way to go about this. But if Visit Abu Dhabi goes like Manchester City are so successful, we're going to give them 20 million pounds a year, I doubt that they will have a problem with that. That 10 million pound extra won't be a problem. But we're talking about crazy inflations of numbers. I'm being completely logical here. I'm not saying anything crazy. I'm not saying anything wild.
No,
we're just saying there's like market values that you can look at and dictate things.
Values is entirely subjective.
No, it's not actually.
By the way,
Okay. I'll tell you why it's subjective. I'll tell you why it's subjective. Yeah, because you just said City couldn't get more than Man United. Man United can be sat there and saying, "Hang on a minute, we're the biggest club in England. Are we getting less than Man City?" So if they get an American club, yeah, or a club or an American sponsor or a sponsor related to Jim Ratcliffe coming in and matching City or giving higher than City, they could easily say, "Well, hang on a minute, City are doing better on the pitch. Yeah, we're not in the Champions League, but we're the biggest club in this country. So we can match City or get a higher sponsorship than City."
Am I right in saying, the LB, that you're not fighting against the fact that it might be unfair?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Say that again.
I do.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Sorry, man. No, am I right in saying, LB, that you're not actually fighting against the fact that it is unfair if someone gives a shirt sponsorship of 60 and then says to Man City, "We'd like to give you 600." You're stating the fact that you want to know where that law is that says that can't happen. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what City are doing. By the way, obviously,
I know that, but is that what you believe? And is that what you're backing? Are you saying it is unfair, but until we see the law, we can't go into that? That's what I don't quite get. What your
my personal view is.
Yeah.
Obviously, my personal view is that City shouldn't be able to go to Abu Dhabi and get a shirt sponsor for 20 times Real Madrid.
There we go.
That's obvious.
Okay.
So that's what I wanted to know.
The problem is,
That's what we're saying.
Everyone is saying that.
But the problem is, City apparently have had a sponsorship rejected, and it's obviously not going to be 10, 20 times United, is it? Clearly,
because it's not market value, right? Why?
No, we don't know that.
Because
we don't know that.
We do know that because City are claiming damages, and that's what they're saying. These financial guys are saying if City are claiming damages, that means they've been financially impacted by it. Hence, they think they've had a deal dropped. It's all speculation. But my point on the subjective part, which you can't argue, is the point that I'm not even using up against my club. I'm using against United, which Husam gave the example. United could say, "Hang on a minute, how are we getting a less sponsorship than Manchester City? We're the biggest club in England." And then you're going to go to, they bring in associated party from America. And then what? The Premier League says, "Well, actually, you've not won anything in the last few years. You're not in the Champions League. That's not fair market value because City are only getting this." And then United get a deal rejected. That's my problem with this.
That's not how it works, LB.
No, but 1 second, LB. No, I can answer the question, by the way.
Hold on. The assessment of market value is not that simplistic, and it's not subjective to. Okay, hold on. It's not subjective to feelings. There has to be, these companies are professional companies that do audits and do evaluations and stuff like this, LB. You are making it look like it's someone sitting and don't like Man United and rejecting the deal, or someone doesn't like Man City and rejecting the deal. There are rules and stuff about audits and stuff like this. This is what I think you're missing. And these laws and rules, right, they go on every club. If Arsenal tomorrow get a deal rejected because it's not market fair value, it's the same rules that applies to the deal that got rejected for Man City, for Everton, for Southampton. Why City are the only team that is fighting this?
We're not the only team that are fighting it. There are 4 or 5 teams behind us.
No. There are 4 or 5 teams sympathize with you and hold on. And one of them is Newcastle, who are owned by state. Our point is, Newcastle and Manchester City, they have an advantage over everyone else because you are owned by state. And until Man City fans understand, and Newcastle fans understand this, everyone around in the world will look at both clubs fighting rules like this as you want to use the fact that you're owned by a state. Until you guys admit that you have an advantage over everyone else, all of this is going to happen again and again.
Of course, we have an advantage.
That's it. That's what Sam is saying.
Who is it that they can judge fair market value? It's too subjective.
There are auditors, there are economic people, there are people who can make that decision. And by the way, the Ineos example is a perfect one. That's actually an example because I'm not racist against my own people. I'm Arab myself. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, the Arab money is different. No, it's not. If Ineos want to sponsor Manchester United and they're giving Man United a lot more money than market value, they shouldn't be allowed to do so. So let's say the name in front of the Liverpool shirt, Standard Chartered, giving us £50 million a year. Ineos should not be allowed to sponsor Man United and give them £200 million a year. I agree with you 100%. Yes, they shouldn't be allowed, and that should be dictated by the people, the economic people, the auditors, the independent regulators, who are able to make that decision based on fair market value assessment. Because now Liverpool have to take that 50 million from Standard Chartered, while Man United take that 200 million from Ineos, and suddenly it's a circus.
And you bid for the same player.
Spend 200 million every year while we have to spend 50. That's where it becomes a circus. That's where market value. But if Ineos want to sponsor Man United with like 55 million, 60 million pounds a year, I doubt the regulators are going to deny that. That's it.
Well, how do you know that though? How do you know that?
Because they're economic people and they're going objectively based off of numbers. They're
so
not
you
going.
Think Manchester United should be able to get the same sponsors?
They're not sad their football fans. They're not sad their football fans going like, "Oh yeah, City have been dominating." You know what? Because City have been dominating, let me deny them the sponsorship opportunity. Of course, that's what they're thinking.
I agree. But do you think Man United should be able to get the same sponsorship revenues as Manchester City right now?
No, they shouldn't. That's why winning is rewarded.
But that's ridiculous.
No. It's not ridiculous at all.
Man United are the biggest club in the country. They should be able, if they got the can generate the revenue, they should be able to generate the sponsorships. This is what I'm saying.
First of all,
it's all subjective. So you're saying, so basically what you're saying is on-field performance dictates who can get the highest sponsorships, which to a degree I accept, but it's only part of the equation. Surely history, size of the fan base, size of the football club has to come into it.
No, I agree with you.
All these things. Can I add one thing?
All these things are judged by the regulator.
Thank you so much, Husam. LB is just making it like these people are ignorant and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know that Man United sell a lot of jerseys.
I didn't say that once. Husam has just said that Man United shouldn't be able to get the same sponsorship revenues as Manchester City. I've defended Man United and saying they're the biggest club in the country.
Exactly. And the response to this is that the regulators know this. They're not idiots. They're not idiots. We are assuming that they're idiots. They aren't. They aren't idiots.
No, that they're idiots. Husam has just said that. It's his opinion.
No, but
exactly.
Here's the thing, LB.
Husam is not an expert. Husam is not an
expert. I answered it in a different way. I'm looking at it. Is winning rewarded? The answer is yes. Because 10 years ago, your club and Real Madrid, from a revenue perspective, were day and night in a completely different world. Now, your club is coming out and saying we're making as much money as Real Madrid. So that's why the market value now is looked at, and you can get as much money as Real Madrid for a shirt sponsor or for a sponsor or a blah, blah, blah. Now, the issue now becomes if you become 5x Real Madrid. That's where now the competition is fucked. That's why the independent regulators are there. They're economic people. They're not sat there in a room going like, City have been dominating, so let's fuck up their sponsorship deal. Or Man United are crap, so let's not allow them to do X and X and X. They will look at it. Everything you said is true. They will look at it performance-wise, revenue-wise, winning-wise. They'll bring all of this into account and come to a logical conclusion. And I do trust them to be able to make that logical conclusion because it benefits the league. Everything that we're talking about here benefits the league because more money. By the way, it even benefits the country because it's more money even coming into to England as a country to begin with. So there is no reason for them to simply just deny a sponsorship opportunity unless it's highly inflated beyond market value. If you wanted to give a quick example again, I can do so. Visit Rwanda gives Arsenal £10 million a year. Visit Abu Dhabi can't give Man City £40 million a year, 4 times as much as Arsenal get. That's all they're saying. That's all they're saying. Because if you're allowed to get 4x Dan Potts for a certain sponsor, and 4x myself for a certain sponsor, and 5x Man United for a certain sponsor, all that money adds up. And by the end of the FFP and the PSR numbers, you're 250 million, 300 million up on all the other clubs. And the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and it's going to be a never-ending cycle of BS. And essentially what's going to happen if the circus is allowed to continue without regulation is for the next 5 years, it's going to be a Man City, Newcastle Premier League title race, and no one else has any fucking hope because Visit Abu Dhabi and Visit Riyadh and all this want to sponsor for incredible amount of money that is not close whatsoever to the market value, which the independent regulators are regulating to keep fairness in the sport. That's it.
And listen, I've said, for the extreme point of view, I agree.
Okay,
but it is subjective, and ultimately, who can decide like fully what is market value?
LB,
Exactly.
I don't know what we're
can do.
arguing about anymore. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't
LB
know what
agreed
we're
with
arguing about
us.
anymore.
But here is
I
my
agree
point
to the
about this.
extreme point. I agree
Yes,
to when it
here
gets
is my point.
extremes. I agree with the
logic.
extremes.
Yes, LB. Here is the logical thing. The one who's fighting the law is the one that, logically speaking, want to go to the extreme.
How do you know that?
Logically speaking.
Based off of what evidence? Based off what evidence?
There's no evidence. This is just logic. There's no evidence.
Just your opinion.
Then, am I wrong? The one that is actually saying that the law should not exist, aren't they the ones that most likely want to go to the extreme? The one that doesn't want the camera.
How do you know though? How do you know, Mo? If City have had if City have had a sponsorship canned that they feel was legit, right? And the Premier League said that's not fair market value. But City going, what? This is legit. This is a legit offer. This is a legit sponsorship. And they've canned it because they've said it's not fair market value.
Okay.
You could understand why City might be a little bit annoyed about that.
You can challenge it, but you want to scrape the law completely. So you don't want any regulators on it.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of unfair. The person that doesn't want the cameras in the shop are the first one that are like, it's not a public home at the end. At the end, there are other people competing. There are other people. Here is the deal. There is other people actually competing in the same thing, buying the same products. You all are bidding for the same player. You're all competing in the same race. I'm going to tell you this. The one that doesn't want the random sample to be taken out of them before the race are most likely the ones that are willing to take enhancements. Because if you follow the law and you follow the regulators and you think it's okay to take a sample and examine me before I go into the race, I'm never taking drug enhancements. It's simple. Is that logical or not?
Again, in terms of my point, though, you can understand why City might be a little bit annoyed if the example that I've just given you, which has been speculated by some people, has happened. And that's why they might go, you know what? This isn't right. Who are these people to challenge this? They have no right to do this.
I think what we're saying, though, I think what we're saying though is if Man City have tried to do what Mo is saying and they're trying to get 650 million as opposed to some of the other clubs that are getting 60 million, and they're looking at kind of suggesting that the law is crap for that, I think what Mo is saying there is, yeah, fair play. But if it's actually something that you know they want to go and get done, but the actual Premier League are saying no, you can't, I can understand why Man City are getting pissed off and going, why not then? Because everyone else seems to. But I think where what we don't know and we're guessing at is that Man City are trying to go and do something extreme here. But again, we don't have enough evidence to know what the hell this all is.
We don't have enough information.
We're trying to guess what's happening here. That's what my original point was before I got to finish it, was that we do not know enough about it yet. We're all expecting it. I understand why Husam gets annoyed in that respect. I understand why Mo, you're thinking, what? This can't be right. But I don't know enough about this, man. I don't know enough about 115. That's why I don't really comment that much. If they're found guilty, cool, throw the book at them. If they're not, fair play. So I can only have an opinion on factual evidence. I can't just guess. I can guess that Man City are trying to do dodgy
This is
dealings.
YouTube.
I can
then.
guess
You can have whatever you want.
650 million pound is crazy. I can guess that this, but actually, I need to actually look at it properly and go, all right, what do I actually think about that? If you want me to guess, I can guess all day long.
But you think City are challenging this as in an arbitration with independent people looking at it, going, "Oh, we had this deal for 600 million. Everyone else only gets 40 million, but we got a deal for 600 million. It's all totally legit." And they canned it. We don't think that's right. You think they're challenging that, or you think it's more likely that they've got a deal which is a decent deal, maybe better than everyone else, not by maybe a lot like that, and then it's a legit deal, and then the Premier League have canned it because
But
they said
it's not. But you're challenging the law.
No, actually, I disagree with you, LB. I don't think if it's a legitimate deal and it's close to market value, the Premier League has any reason to deny it.
So
I actually think
that
No. I don't accept
Why
that.
do you assume that the deal is good? Why
Why do you assume that the deal is good?
What
if it's 5 times market value?
was within market value?
do you think City would take it to an independent arbitrator if it wasn't a fair deal?
Yeah, but you're fighting the law. You aren't fighting the decision. You're fighting the law.
And we're claiming damages.
Okay, but you're fighting the law because it's wrong.
Exactly. We think the law is the City are saying. I'm not saying anything, but City are saying it's not compatible with English law. And then they're claiming damages, which some people are speculating means that the Premier League have canned one of City's sponsorship deals and said, no, it's not fair market value. So my point is, looking at that then, and just looking at the little evidence we have, it appears that City have had a sponsorship deal, which potentially has been canned by the Premier League because they've said it's not fair market value. And City gone, what? Well, you're about it's not fair market value. It's legit. It's a legit offer. And then they've got the lawyers involved, and then the lawyers have gone, this is weird. Are they even allowed to do this? And then they've looked at it and gone, we think they might not even be able to do this in English law. We're going to challenge it. That's it. We'll find out who's right.
Yes, and I'm thinking it's more than likely that the Premier League is not going to sit up here and reject something that is logical and fair and that sponsors Manchester City. That's it. So I'm gonna take the side of the Premier League because there is no reason for them to reject something that's of market value. That's the issue here.
What about?
By the way, Mourinho referred to this.
Go on.
Go ahead, Albert. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what about if it's one of the highest in the Premier League, or it's clearly going to be the highest in the Premier League, and it is a little bit of a jump. So there is a jump. So if you were to look at the market values of each club, you go, well, City are up there, but it is still legit because of all the success City have had on the pitch, as you said, and then they've gone, well, City's deal is 30-40% higher than the second place. That's weird. That's not fair market value. You're going to tin it.
Hold on, I actually
got but that's what the independent regulators will determine.
Can I just?
They're going to determine whether it's fair or not.
Yeah. Before you go on, LB, what you're saying to me, the tone you're using and the way you're speaking, tells me that you think the Premier League had rejected the deal to spite Man City.
No, that's not unlawful. Said, that's not. Like, you keep saying unlawful things that I'm saying, and I'm not saying that. Once.
So you don't think that?
I've not said for 1 second whether I think City are right. We don't have enough information, like Dan said. Okay. No one knows what's going on. We're going off scraps. I'm just putting the case. I'm putting the case forward that I think City are like a fair argument. Now, whether it's going to win or not, I don't know. And quite frankly, honestly, I don't really care. My team just won 50. It really doesn't affect me.
Can I ask a question, LB? Then why would you think logically that the deal was rejected? If it was market value. Yes,
because City are claiming damages, which people are saying.
No. Why do you think in the beginning? Okay, LB. Logically speaking, why do you think Visit Rwanda was not rejected and the charter thing was not rejected, but the City deal was rejected? Why?
Because of either one or two reasons.
Yes.
One, it's the Husam reason, where City have got some extreme deal.
Okay.
Or two, it's a new record. It's a new record set. It's not extreme. Some people might say it's extreme, but it's a new record. Maybe they've got it because they've just won the 4-peat. Maybe they got it because they won the treble last year. Okay. And it's the best deal we've ever seen in this country. Some people could call it extreme, but City are saying it's legit. Whether you think it's a legit offer, it's not inflated. It's a legit offer that's a new record.
Forget what City's saying. You said there are 2 reasons for them to actually reject it. In your opinion, we don't know. We're assuming,
Well,
right?
that can be my only 2 reasons,
Okay.
unless you could think of any more.
Okay. Okay. The reason
No,
why
No,
yeah,
he's right. There are no other reasons.
Okay.
And you know what my logic is? My logic is I'm not going to go to the conspiracy where the Premier League and the regulators are trying to stop Manchester City because they're getting too dominant. I'm going to go to the logical thing. If something's way off market value, then yes, it should be stopped. Whether it's my club, Potts' club, your club, United, whichever it is. Any of sponsoring Man United, giving them £200 million a year should not be allowed. Full stop. If it's beyond market value. This is not an Arab thing. This is not a city thing. This is a league thing. The regulators are economic people. They're people who know what they're doing. They understand market value. They read into revenues. They read into success. They read into all of that shit. But there's logic here. We have to follow a logical pathway to come up with market value, to come up with smart numbers, to come up with things that make sense. Manchester United cannot have a shirt sponsor in front of the shirt making 6 times as much as Man City. Because that's just illogical.
Okay. So I agree with you, Husam, right? But what happens if a company comes to a club and says, listen, you just had an incredible success on the pitch or whatever, your club is huge, yeah? We actually think that the current market rates in the Premier League are too low. We're going to pay 40% higher than someone else. Is that extreme? Who knows?
But that's what the regulators decide. Because they know the market value.
That's not us to decide. That's not, and by the way, it's not for us, and it's not for City to decide. There has to be. I'm going to tell you why it cannot be.
City set the price of the sponsorship.
But I can tell you why it cannot be. Because there has to be someone independent that decides the fair market value of a commercial deal. Someone outside of Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Man United, and all of them. There has to be someone who is neutral here. It cannot be yourself deciding. Otherwise, the possibility of you going to the extreme or Man United going to the extreme is there. There has to be someone that is neutral, independent, has nothing to do, has no...
That's the problem, Mo. Everything that you just said there, that is the problem with this whole situation. Okay. The clubs decide how much they can sell the sponsorships for. It's their space. It's their whatever they're sponsoring. It's their space. The clubs set the price, and stuff keeps on going up and up and up. With football in the Premier League being viewed by more and more people every single year, the price of sponsorships goes up and up and up every single time we see sponsorships. Not all the time, but majority of the time it is trending upwards, right? So what happens instead of a sponsorship going up by 5-10%? What about if it goes up by 30%, 40%? Is that now extreme? Is that now not fair market value?
Yeah, but that's what the regulators are there to decide, LB. That's the point. The regulators are going to take a look at everything you've said, and they're going to decide it. That's just the thing. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not something wild. And by the way, the thing that you're asking about shirt sponsors, they've been going up every year. Liverpool's Warriors sponsor and the New Balance sponsor, we aren't making as much money as we're making now on the Nike sponsor, and as we're going to make on the Adidas sponsor, and blah, blah, blah. Because of success, because of revenue, because of Liverpool being successful over the last 3-4 years. We get that point. But we're talking about numbers being logical here. Can Liverpool make 5 times as much money as Man City? No. Can they make 4 times as much money? No. 3 times? No. Now, when you're getting to the 30% and the 40%, that's what the market value and the economic people can decide and can sit up there, can take all the numbers into account, can take the success into account, and make a correct decision. And I do trust that they do make a correct decision in order to completely make sure that there is fairness in competition in the English Premier League. That is their right. The independent regulator is there to stop inflation of market value, to stop people doing too much with sponsorship deals where they can spend PSR, FFP money to the next level and no one can stop them. That's their right. Their right is we want to keep this Premier League fair. That's it.
Can we, before we go on, guys, we have about 1,300 people here, 1,300 people here, guys. We aren't even on 500 likes. The like button is underneath your live chat. This is a top-notch show, pure entertainment here, and actually some good discussions here and debates back and forth. This should be televised on national television. Listen, people, hit that like button underneath the live chat. Get us to 500 likes, guys. It helps the channel massively. It helps the show. It helps all the guys. And also, LB, more LB is in the description. It just says it's LB and more LB next to his name with a big blue circle. You can go and subscribe. And also Dan Potts' channel, 12th Man Podcast. in the description, both daily content every day, pure entertainment, and also informative about the transfer market and everything. And also, This Is Football is here, Husam's channel, where we did an amazing ahwa yesterday. Go and watch it again. But of course, Husam is doing a show after this. So hit that like button. There are a lot of super chats to do before we
go super chats, there's a comment I want to address.
Go
and
ahead.
I can bring it up myself. What about standard chartered sponsors? No one want to talk about that little bit in news. Well done, Martin. You got me there. You got me there. Nice to meet you, Martin. You know the difference between me and you? I've called out my club every single fucking day. Every day I've called out my club. And I have spoken about the standard chartered sponsorship day in, day out for the last 2 years, for the last 3 years. I was on Spaces telling people that there is no such thing as blood money or dirty money, or Arab money is worse than American money because of shit like this. So I've already called out Standard Chartered. I'm against them sponsoring my club. I want my ownership out. I've flown a plane over Anfield with fucking FSG out on it. So I don't know what else you want me to do to get rid of that sponsor right there. So I was talking on Spaces. I've been talking about it on YouTube. I've called them day in, day out. I don't support the funding of anything crazy like that. I don't support the ruining of people's lives. And I've spoken about this specific sponsor that you're mentioning 500 million times, even though it hurts me. Even though that might hurt me in the long run, because I might not get that club interview, because I might not get that Redman TV type special where I have to kiss the club's ass for the last 2 years to be able to get that shit. Because there's no thisisfootball.com, pay me £5 a month to get an interview. So that's the difference. You get me? So I called out my club 500 million times. What more you want me to do other than flying a fucking plane over the stadium with FSG out on it, with like literally educating the masses? I spoke on this before it became a thing. Are you aware of this? I spoke on Standard Charter 2 years ago, before this article dropped. 2 years ago, I called them out. And there are people in the chat who listen to my Spaces, like Kingsman and others, who I recognize their names, who will vouch for me calling them out for the last 2 years. And this ain't nothing new. I've called out my club 100 times. You can't do that, Martin. That's the difference between me and you.
All right.
Read super chats.
Comdin here is saying LB acting like an ostrich, doesn't want to hear it and listen to anyone else. Terry also explained it to you yesterday.
Clearly, you don't want to listen to anyone else. You've got your opinion. I got my opinion, bro. Innit? You look like an ostrich on your profile picture, bro. So hold that, innit? Next super chat, bro. Thanks for the $5, bro. I'll spend it wisely. Cheers.
Thanks, Comdin. Dennis is saying, if Man City win this case, why wouldn't Newcastle sue for damages over the last 3 years? They couldn't invest as much in the club when 2021 vote was unlawful. Do we think Newcastle are gonna just go crazy if this goes through? Anybody think so?
I don't know. Who knows? We'll
The
see.
Circus Act is allowed, then of course they'll go crazy.
But it will be
Of course they
allowed
will,
if
yeah.
that is unlawful, and they will. The Saudi
course they
Arabia will
will.
just say, "Okay, we're buying everyone now." I'm
Well,
pumping money
if
into the
it
club.
got removed, if it gets removed, I don't think that it's just going to get removed and that'll be it. They'll redesign a new one, which is lawful. That's what I imagine that they'll do. They're not just going to get rid of it and that's it. We're done.
These regulations make it fair to close the gap between clubs with rich owners and those without. Otherwise, clubs like Luton and Ethic are done out here.
This is horrendous, super chat. It really is.
How is that, LB?
Have you not?
This is very true. What do you mean?
LB will literally give you a
super chat this,
hypothetical.
bro. To super chat this on a day where 25% of the league are all having to sell players in the next month to meet regulations, including Newcastle and Aston Villa, who might have to sell two of the best players just to meet the regulations, and you're saying it's to close the gap.
But he's not. They're not talking. LB, just hear me out. This is not about FFP. This is about this particular sponsorship deal. It's very simple.
But bro, we've already got profit and sustainability rules.
Yeah, but if this law doesn't exist, profit and FFP doesn't mean anything, because Newcastle can actually pump $1 trillion into the club as a sponsorship deal, and now they are within FFP because they make that money. LB,
No, but bro, clearly,
but they won't. But you're assuming good intentions, but they won't do that. You're assuming that, but they won't do that. Who says that?
I just find On the
Who
day
says that
20
Middle Eastern owners want to win? They don't give a fuck about none of this money crap. They'll do that happily tomorrow. If you allow Newcastle's owners to sponsor Newcastle with £300 million a year, they would, because they want to win. You think they give a fuck about any of this? Oh my God, we've made so much money this year. They're not FSG. Like, they want to win. They have ambitions.
I agree.
And-
100%.
Like Newcastle
So
will
yeah,
be,
exactly.
will
So they
be
spend £300 million a year, sign the best 5 players in the world, and then we're all screwed.
fine. Like within, I believe Saudi Arabia within like very short time, they will be the biggest revenue in the world. They will surpass everyone. They will, bro. These guys will sponsor themselves, and it's like, listen, this is their money. They can do whatever. Our problem with it will be unfair, not only in the Premier League. It will be unfair to everyone else. Because if anyone tried to bid for a player, Newcastle have so much money, and they can make it legal within FFP by just pumping sponsorship deals. Nobody will be able. Man City won't be able to compete. No
And
one.
that's why you need market value.
This is the
I don't buy into that personally.
this is the fear, LB, is that tomorrow Newcastle make, instead of making 700 million, they make 1 billion. So 700 billion, they make like 1 trillion or whatever. Okay. And now they it for everyone because they have the money, and it's legal because it's sponsorship deals. It's legal. It's an income to the club.
Now they can go and spend money and invest in a football club.
Yeah, but the difference is how much we can allow that. Like, there has to be a way to allow a maximum to this. Otherwise, there will be a massive gap between Newcastle and everyone else in the world, by the way. Everyone else.
Including
Because these
PSG,
people have
including
so
City, including everyone.
money. Qatar, for example, PSG, Qatar.
I don't fully buy that personally.
Come on,
bro.
LB. You
I
have
don't
see
know,
the
because
extreme.
you can only have 21 players, bro.
Okay, but you see this hypothetical.
Do you think there should be
LB.
caps on anything then, LB? Do you think there should be caps? Do you
Listen,
think there should be a
I
wage
think
cap?
it's hard.
There should be FFP?
I don't agree with the wage cap in the slightest. That's terrible. I don't
Do you
think
give
should
any
be...
caps then? Do you think you just get away rid of caps and just everyone spends what they want?
In theory, in principle, yeah, because I don't think you should be able to spend £1 billion in one transfer window.
Okay, there we go.
But then the problem is, you say, well, what is the number? And I say, I don't know. Should it be 500 million? Should it be 300 million? Should it be 200 million? Well, Neymar was 220 million. If a buyout clause is £250 million for a player, then we can't really have the cap less than 250 million. Otherwise, technically, you won't be able to buy the best players unless you have the aura of Real Madrid and just tell the players to wait for a free transfer. So, in theory, yes, I agree in principle. You shouldn't be able to spend £1 billion in one transfer window. I agree with that. But then the problem is, what should that number be? And I said, I don't know. I don't know how to judge it.
We don't know. Wallah al-Azim.
Yeah, we agree with you. We don't know. You know who knows? The
We don't know
regulator.
what the number is. What the number is.
You know who knows? The regulators. So let them regulate.
The people that actually.
This bro loves the regulators, man.
He loves the word.
Let them regulate, man.
The word is so cool.
But how do they decide, Husam, what you can spend in a year? Like, we're just talking purely on transfers, not the sponsorships, just in terms of how much you can spend a year on transfer. How can they decide how much you can spend a year? How do you think they should be able to come to that figure?
Decide. They decide via team success, via revenue made, via player sales, via bringing all of this into one big equation. And because they're maths numbers and economy numbers and people who that's their fucking subject of expertise. I'm a chemical engineer. If I told you don't mix 2 chemicals or you'll die from suffocation, listen to me. Let the economy people and the nerds with the glasses do the work with the numbers. You get me? And let them come up and say, this is fair, this is unfair. Simple as that. Because the problem is, Mourinho spoke about this 3 years ago. If we just open it up, it will literally become a circus act.
I don't know
because
how
Saudi Airlines tomorrow.
I don't get it.
Saudi Airlines tomorrow could sponsor Newcastle for 400 million pounds a year,
and nothing's not right. Because I've just said myself there should be a limit.
Okay.
The difficult
maybe
part
not
is
you. Maybe not you.
Decide the limit.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're not helping the argument here by just throwing all the City fans into one side, are you?
No, not
you're
already.
alienating the whole fan base.
Rich yesterday on my channel.
That's what you're doing, bro. You're alienating the whole fan base, bro. Just move with the conversation. We'll have the conversation. You don't need to do that, innit?
All right.
There we go.
People in the chat saying that what we're saying is mad, and I'm like, why? There has to be a limit, and because PSG, I think they're richer than Emirates, right? The Qataris, Saudi Arabia are richer than Emirates. It's just, for me, there has to be a way to limit it. And
I agree.
I agree
how you do that is very complex, and people have different opinions, which shouldn't just be your opinion's stupid, fuck off. It should be that's your opinion, and then we hear.
Well, no, I'm not saying your opinion is stupid at all.
No, but you just did alienate the City fan base by saying that. There's no need to do that. Husam's got his opinion. I've got my opinion. I'm not here saying you should be able to spend whatever you want, whatever. I've just said that. But it's difficult, it's complex, and whatever rules you put in place, there will be unintended consequences, as per the whole FFP situation that we've had for the last decade. Let's just keep it as your opinion, our opinion.
Yes,
everyone's got their opinion. We don't need to start like doing little digs.
Okay, do you see? But do you see the difference when we are talking about Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City are the ones that are sympathize with each other? Do you see, as clubs, don't you see that is together against everyone else, for example?
I also see Everton and Aston Villa in that as well.
Okay.
What do you mean, Mo? You
actually, you're right. You're right. You're right here. I can't challenge that with Everton, and I don't know why Everton and Nottingham Forest are with this law. I don't know.
Well, actually, the reason why City and Newcastle are in there is because what Husam said, or you said. These clubs want to win. They want to be able to spend money. They're not asked about taking dividends out the football club. And again, I say what I said earlier. I think there should be restrictions.
Okay. We agree here. We all agree here.
I think everybody's agreed on that. Everybody's agreed on that.
We all agree on this.
And by the way, LB, this is not just a state thing. I've made the Ineos example already. Ineos are a company. Ineos should not be able to sponsor Manchester United 5x what Man City get just because it's a circus. It cannot happen. There need to be a limit, and that's what the nerds decide. Let the nerds do their job.
The nerds. LB doesn't like. LB thinks that these nerds.
We all know.
Maybe LB is right.
We all agree.
Listen, we all agree. But my point about it is that there has to be someone independent from all the clubs deciding what is fair market value and what is not. For everyone, by the way, for everyone. That's why even the salary cap or something like this, there has to be a law against it. Like you cannot just. Someone says, oh, Man City can decide, Arsenal can decide, Walmart can decide, FSG can decide. There has to be an independent one, and that has to be outside the Premier League. It's very simple.
Yeah, that's why independent regulators are good.
It's very simple.
City wanted a regulator. Ask what clubs didn't want an independent regulator. Because you keep on saying independent regulator. It's not a regulator. It's just a financial firm that's overseeing it. City wanted an independent regulator. It was the Premier League and the cartel clubs that didn't want the regulator.
See how do you have a tinfoil hat on as well?
I'm confused now.
Cartel clubs. Wow. I'd like to introduce you guys to Liverpool Escobar. You get me? El Mencho Arsenal over here. Cartel clubs. It's crazy. Ain't no cartel clubs. It has nothing to do with any of that shit. We're just talking about fairness of competition. Klopp spoke about it. Mourinho spoke about it when he managed Spurs. Plenty of managers have came out and spoke about it already. Okay, there's no need for us to conspiracize everything. It's not the red cartel clubs against Manchester City. It's just fairness of competition. That's it. It's as simple as that. Do you accept that Ineos should give Man United tomorrow 5 times as much as City get for the shirt sponsor? Yes or no? Do you accept that?
They shouldn't be able to do that. No.
Done. Okay then. Argument over.
I also agreed with that at the start of the stream. But okay.
Argument over. That's it.
Then there is a law. That's why City want to change it.
That's what people will say. That's what people will think. And there's a lot of rival clubs that will believe that Man City just don't want to stick to rules. They want to do what they want and they don't like laws. So they're just going to say they're already. And again, I cannot say that is the case. This is the problem. I understand why everybody wants to point the finger and go City are in the mud. But we have to actually allow that to be the case first before we can discuss it. And that is all my point was right at the start, was if you've got money, you should be allowed to spend it. However, there needs to be a law that everybody understands to know what that money is that's spent. And there needs to be a cap. And that cap needs to be agreed across. And if that is not decided that that's the case yet, then we can have a discussion about it. But I don't know enough about it, Mo, if I'm honest with you, which is why it's hard for me to comment. That's all.
I don't know the laws and I don't know this. I'm not a lawyer and I sat here. I'm a guy on YouTube, right? All I do is I take the logic and apply it. That's it. Until someone defeats my logic and convince me otherwise, and I raise my hand and said, I'm wrong here, you convince me. My argument is wrong. Done. It's all.
Yeah, like he was wrong on Spurs all season long, and we convinced him he's wrong.
That's it. Rich owners and sponsors. Terence Daniel is correcting themselves. Thank you so much. And David Reese is saying, with Hamza's picture on it, LB. Okay, why do you have why? I'm moving on. Mookie, thank you so much for gifting 5 super chats, for gifting 5 membership. Big up, Mookie.
Brate big up to you, Mookie.
So much.
Big up,
Thank you
Mookie.
so much. City's Etihad deal in 2009 gave City more money than Arsenal Emirates deal from 2006 when Arsenal had just gone invincible and been in the Champions League final.
Okay. And
I don't
if
know.
you
By
ask-
the way, before you answer, LB, I am not sure if that's a fact. By the way,
Okay,
I-
but
like,
one
I
of one
don't
of
know.
the Comdean, if you actually do some research on your football club, one of the reasons Arsenal's deal with Emirates was quite low is because Arsenal needed guaranteed money for a period of time because of the moving into the Emirates deal. That's one of the reasons why the Emirates. Everyone knew at the time the Emirates deal was low, but Arsenal needed guaranteed funds because they were building the Emirates and moving into the Emirates, and they needed to pay off the debts. So it's different situation again.
I hope you
That is
got
true.
your
That is true.
explanation. He's saying the Premier League gives them the right. Oh, he's saying that the Premier League have the right to actually, but I'm just going to tell you something, Comdine. The Premier League consists of the clubs. The clubs, it's a democracy. So if someone wants to fight the Premier League, vote against the Premier League, they have the right to do that. Comdine. Ashraf Ahmed, LB. No, there been no, LB at the end. Actually, we had a very genuine discussion. This rule has always existed. It's just been adjusted in 2021. So it is to do with the 115 because the same law adjusted.
Not so.
Was this
Okay,
law
I believe
existed
you then, Donny,
always?
but all the finance guys are on online and on all the radio stations and the papers say it's not to do with the 115.
Yeah, I
All the
don't think so.
finance, all the lawyers, all the
Yeah, they
finance
have
guys.
nothing to do with the 115.
If you want to say
I'm
it
a
is, then it is.
finance person and I know that. This is just the sponsorship.
Just read and you will know that this is well after the Newcastle thing. The independent damages could also mean DMG to their names, LB. It could
Damage
have
to
been
their name.
damage to
Essentially,
them.
we don't know,
Damage,
innit?
yeah.
We don't actually know.
We don't actually know. E-Ink is saying to be competitive, everyone should spend the same. Well, not really,
No, actually,
because
I disagree
wins
with
should be rewarded with something. When you win,
Yes, I
you should be
disagree.
rewarded more than the others. So that's I disagree
Bro, I
with that.
accept City should spend like 50 million more than Liverpool. I can accept that because of
Yeah.
them winning. When you start telling me 200 million, 300 million, that's when it becomes a circus. That's it.
See, I
Yeah.
disagree with that though, Husam. I don't think City should be able to spend more money than any other
No.
club.
No, you have to because you win.
No, you
But
should.
You make
But
more
my
money,
level,
you
That's
spend
my
more
opinion.
money.
Again, I'm agree with the super chat. I think all clubs should be able to spend the same amount.
All companies are audited to track money for corruption, competitiveness, where democracy, not like your owners. Actually, that's not true. Actually, they are audited, but in America, in capitalism, it's open market. That's why in America, right? And I live in America, small companies get crushed by the market because it's an open market, and that's unfair. Because small businesses get crushed by big businesses on purpose to crush competition. So you're wrong here. Question:
You ever watch
cities,
Shark Tank, Tony?
yeah, City say they have inseparable evidence. One, didn't they show that if the second charges came out?
Irrefutable evidence, not insufferable
Irrefutable.
evidence.
Irrefutable
Mo.
evidence.
Yeah, everything.
Insufferable
I just,
everything?
bro. I don't know Masood. Do you want me to ring Khaldoon and ask him? I don't know. Bro, what are you asking me for? I don't know.
Khaldoon, Habibi,
Call me,
asking
Habibi.
me.
call
I
me
don't know.
Khaldoon.
Sponsor this football.
We
I'll
need the
defend you for-
evidence. We
Let's
need the
go.
evidence, Khaldoon. This rule actually benefits City. That's what Husam explained, Zenica. Right? That's what Husam explained. LB deep down knows he's defending. No, at the end, we agreed.
I say it again, bro. I've not defended anything. I'm just setting out the reasons why City might want to appeal this. I don't really care what the outcome is. My team's just won the 4P. It doesn't really bother me.
What right do the police have to regulate stealing?
Bro, this is just
I
a
can't lie.
fun
That part of LB's argument was really weak. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No,
But,
no, because you keep on calling it a regulator. That's why the bros said the police. It's not a regulator. It's just a financial firm.
But we
and
have to
I
get an
trust the
expert in it.
financial firm to make that decision.
Like an expert, LB. All
Okay,
we're
and
saying is
City is saying that doesn't
expert-
meet competition law in the UK, in England. Simple.
okay, Martin. Thank you, Martin, for subject. Everyone believes outside people challenging City, but when we say read the 93 pages that CAS, a Supreme Court, we get no agenda though. Read the CAS. listen, I have no response to this, Martin. I am not a lawyer. I'm not gonna read the cast. I'm gonna go by the logic, right? I'm gonna go by the logic. It's as simple as that, Martin. And I don't know. Even I actually say, I'm gonna say this, Martin. I think even if I read the cast documents, I won't understand it because I'm not a lawyer. Simple.
And I'm gonna say something as well, Martin. Let me just share screen quickly. I want Martin to read this. It's not 90 pages. It's not even 9 lines. Right here. You can put this up on the screen, please, for the people to see.
You can put it. It's up, يعني.
Put this up now. What does it say right here? City were handed suspension in February 2020 by the UEFA club financial control body, but the penalty was overturned at the Court of Arbitration for Sports in July of that year. CAS found some of the alleged breaches were not established, while others were time-barred. So there's shit that they could not even do because it was time-barred. And the CAS report does not deny anything that we've been talking about this whole stream. So this is the thing, Martin. You're responding to something completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. Big up, though.
Let me join and smoke LB. No, you aren't gonna smoke an LB or anything.
Only I can
What?
smoke LB.
Husam, what if City owners said to X company sponsor us with 1 billion, and in exchange we will deduct 1.2 billion off your next oil trade deal? You see now why it needs to be independently regulated. That's the example, though. That's the example. It's all about deciding the market value of every deal. That's it. Thank you, voice of reason. And I think at the end, LB agreed that there has to be someone to decide the fair competition. It's just who and what are their credentials. Let's be honest, City will be fined 50 million and everyone will be back to business. No transfer ban or point deduction.
I actually agree with this.
If you
I
think
actually
so,
agree.
yeah, and I agree with
If
this.
they do come out, if it comes out they've done something wrong, I think that's all that will happen. They'll get a big fine. That's it.
Yeah, Aslan is saying arbitrary market assessment aren't ideal, but it's only needed because of APT. If you ban the APT, then market value isn't needed. City want both. Okay. I didn't understand a lot of the super chat, but if you ban the APT, then market value isn't needed. City want both. I didn't understand this. Did anybody understand this?
He's basically saying City don't want the market value assessments. They just want it to be open. That's basically what it is.
Okay. Donnie, look at boxing has been bought to have fights in crap atmospheres. The big stadiums fights killed. So Newcastle will definitely go wild. That's what we're saying. I think Newcastle will go wild. I don't think the Emirates guys will
definitely go wild.
I don't think the Emirates guys will go wild. I think Newcastle will go wild. Just based on just how I know things, how Saudi Arabia want to win. Chelsea and Villa have splashed the cash stupidly in the past 2 years. Now, all of a sudden, certain fans are sorry for them because they have to sell. So that is a different story. Like Chelsea spend money.
That's why Chelsea and Villa are siding with City, because Chelsea and Villa want to also spend money recklessly without any consequences.
That's
simple as that.
Good super chat, Dan. A court order is required for LB. Come on, just stop this. The real fortune. We don't all Prem Clip ask sponsors for 100 million.
Because Luton should not get the same sponsorship deal that Man City gets. Real fortune. Let's be logical about this, brother.
Yeah. Lost 3 super chats. Lower cap will hurt smaller clubs. More players would see out their contracts to sign smaller contracts to be able to leave on a free. You think the salary cap will hurt small clubs, so they can compete with big clubs? I disagree with this. Completely disagree with this.
I don't think you should have salary caps in the game. I think that's poor.
I actually agree with LB on that one. Salary caps will ruin the league, by the way.
Hi, Shabab, the rest of the panel, cheating talks. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Habibi, for the super chat.
Of course, Ahmed can't relate. He supports Bayern. You know, you're the one rooster with 19 chickens in that league. So of course you're happy.
Khaldoon wants to sponsor MHF. Watch out, YouTubers.
Hey, call us. We're
Oh
open to
my
that
God.
sponsorship deal. Don't worry.
Yes. Anyway, I want to thank everyone that is here. I hope that we learned something today. I hope that you had a good entertainment. LB channel, it's LB and more LB in the description as well. Dan Potts' 12-man podcast. And stay here. Don't go anywhere because Husam is going live on This Is Football right after this. Thank you for everybody.
I'm going to be talking about the city. I'm going to be talking about the city conspiracies. You get me? I'm going to go get my tinfoil hat on, put it on, wear it, you know, so we can conspiracize why the red cartel want Manchester City abandoned and abolished, you know. So we're going to be talking about that and a couple of transfer news, you know. Some people saying Jack Grealish left out the squad, like that's news. That ain't news. Also, I'm going to be addressing the donkey scoring yesterday for Uruguay. Big up, guys. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys. Like the video before you go, and we'll see you guys soon. And we're out of here, people.